Welcome to the Raw and Real of Real Estate podcast, powered by LPT Realty, Real Estate Reimagined, with your host, the one and only Betsy Tinnervin. On this podcast, we bring you people who share their personal journeys in life, business, and of course, real estate. Get motivated, inspired, and priceless information from entrepreneurs, community leaders, and realtors who are thriving. Now let's get raw and real. Here's Betsy.
Welcome back to the LPT All-Star Radio Show. I am your host, Betsy Tinnervin with the Tampa Bay Investments team. And if you are driving in your car or at home or at work listening to the show today, you can't put a price tag on it. I have guests here all the way from Chicago, sucking up all of our sunshine here. And I have a super seasoned agent that you have heard on this show before, as well as a title rep who's been doing title for 20 years. So Sean Wetherington, how are you?
Hello.
You have been on this show several times. You're a seasoned agent, a top producer. You're an investment specialist. I don't even know what you're not.
Well, don't really know what to say to that one, Betsy. You kind of got me stumped there, but I try.
Well, Sean is very humble, but Sean is very seasoned. He's very experienced. I've worked with him closely over the last 3 to 4 years, so we're so glad to have you. Brandon Wessner.
Yes.
You have also been on my show before, and what's crazy about you, Brandon, is one, you've been a title rep for 20 years.
I have.
And two, you are the only title guy that I have worked with since 2015.
That's saying a lot.
I mean, all these other agents and all these other title people, they hop around and they want to like do different events. But like our relationship has been that consistent. I don't know how I've put up with you that long.
I don't know how I've put up with you that long, I think is the real question.
Okay, we'll give Brandon some credit. Super special guest that I have here today that is not only a amazing business owner, but has become a personal friend of mine. Definitely want to give a shout out to his wife, Debbie, as well. Anthony Latham, the president of National Title Solutions, a nationally based title company, is here in the studio with us today. How are you doing, Ant?
I'm good, Betsy. Thank you for that intro.
And I know Debbie's probably listening and on Facebook Live. Both of you two have really become like my friends. And honestly, in this business, it's refreshing to have kind of a business mentor. So I can't wait for all the listeners to dive deep just into your personal story and just kind of the relationship that we have made supporting each other in this industry.
Absolutely. It's an awesome relationship.
So first things first, I always like introduce Anthony. He's never really here because he works in their hub office in Chicago, but their title company is nationally based, which is awesome for buyers and sellers moving to Florida because they can handle their transaction in the state that they're in and make that transaction easy for them coming on the buy side. So let's say you're selling your house in New York and you want to move to Florida. Anthony can handle both transactions seamlessly. And I really want to dive deep, Anthony, and kick off the show with how the company started and just who you are.
Appreciate that. Well, I got in the title industry shortly after college. And, you know, I kind of had an idea of what it was. My aunt had been in the business and from that realized that she lived a pretty good life. So obviously being in real estate, an opportunity came up and I jumped on it. It was Debbie had interviewed for the job and came back and she was like, I don't want to do it. Maybe you should check it out. Because I was just about a month shy of graduating college. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll give it a shot. So she said, oh, it's a title company. I didn't know what I was going to do after college. I kind of had an idea, but, you know, so lo and behold, on my interview, and I believe right place, right time. Things happen for a reason. Take your chance. Take your shot. The owner of the company was on the phone, and he was really disheveled when he hung up. And I asked him, I don't know what made me ask this guy, but I said, what happened? You okay? And he kind of looked at me, and he was, first off, he was kind of like, you know, who are you? I'm like, well, I'm here for the interview. He said, oh, I have an office in Florida we just bought, and it's just absolute chaos. You know, they're losing money. And I said, well, why don't you send me down there, and I'll run it. He was like, you don't even know what we do. And I'm like, well, you know, I have an idea. And I think that's what kind of put a seed in his brain that, okay, we got someone here. And I just took that opportunity. And when the opportunity came up for Florida, guess who they, you know, picked on? And they said, hey, you want to take this opportunity? And said, yeah. So that was probably about 11 a.m. That was my first break. It was 11:15. Called my wife. I said, hey, we're getting married August, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, in October, we're moving to Florida.
How did Debbie react to that?
You know what? I have the best wife in the world. I could probably come home tomorrow and say, I'm going to do this. And she'd say, okay, what do you need from me? So she was like, okay, I guess. And she was kind of happy because I guess we didn't have to unpack all our gifts from the wedding. So she was like, well, I just got to get them to Florida.
That's awesome.
That was really her response. So I'm very thankful for
I
that.
think that we're not going to give them all the juice and content in the beginning. We're going to get it into that in segment 2 on how you actually started then your own company with a second mortgage on your house.
Oh, yeah.
So not going to give that to them yet, but I want to talk about opportunity, and I definitely want to turn to you, Sean, because I think what Anthony just said is a phenomenal piece of information for anything out there where real estate comes into play and just kind of your opportunity moving from hospitality into real estate. Mm-hmm. Where was the opportunity and why for you?
Well, I started in real estate. My college degree is in real estate, and miraculously I stayed in hospitality because I love the interaction with guests, with clients, with customers, whatever term you want to hang on them. But it's all about exceeding their expectations and fulfilling a need, and having been in hospitality for about 25 plus years all over Florida and southeastern United States for that matter, I saw a need from within the real estate industry where, we were kind of getting painted off as, uneducated used car salesman type things. We were going after just the large commissions, and the lack of customer service to me was painfully apparent. So that's why I came full force into it. I happened to meet you several years back and have been running with you for the last several years. And I love what I do. I love exceeding, my guest expectations and just, anticipating the needs and trying to blow them away.
So I have to tell everyone something funny. When I first met Sean, I used to say to him when he was talking leads, I go, Sean, did you tell them that you have a real estate degree? And he's like, oh, no, I didn't mention that. And I go, really, Sean, you're more qualified than I am. I said, because you have a degree in this industry. And just for everyone out there who has MBAs, real estate degrees, it's not an easy degree to get. So I'm definitely going to dive deep with more content on Sean and how he analyzes single family purchases in a tough market as well as investment properties. So that's phenomenal. My boy B. Wessner.
Yo.
Every time your phone rings and you see Betsy come across it, can you describe that feeling?
One of the best feelings in the world.
Poor Brandon has to take our calls morning, noon, and night. How did you get into title, man? And link up with crazy Anthony Latham?
Oh, gosh. I got into title. So I moved away when I was 19, ended up having a baby. The wife at the time was in the military. Didn't work out, came home, and my uncle asked if I needed a job. And I was like, sure. He's like, do you know what title insurance is? I said, I have no idea. And at the time, it was one of the largest independently owned title companies in the country, which was later bought out by one of the biggest underwriters. And so I started working there and ordered payoffs for the first 2-3 years. That's all I did was order payoffs, and eventually moved my way up and happened to come across Anthony's company. I actually knew the sales manager for Anthony's company, and he hired me in sales, and Anthony brought me on the inside, and that was in 2005, and we've been together ever since. And
you guys have dated for a long time. I'm surprised Debbie has not put a stop to this, Anthony.
Yeah, we've crossed many roads together.
Now, you notice that Anthony and Brandon don't realize that this is the Raw and the Real show. So they have no idea what I'm going to ask them or how to prep them. So you are not going to want to miss the content that we're going to dive deep into. We're going to dive deep in segment 2 on how Anthony started a company with a second mortgage on his house, how Sean helps people leverage debt with real estate to be able to open businesses and purchase passive income, and why Brandon feels it's important to grow with a company and just what he provides for title services. Sean, if anyone wants to call you, can you please give them your phone number?
Yes, ma'am. That's 386-848-7241.
And infamous Anthony Latham, we're not going to give them your cell phone, but you will give them the National Title Solutions Hotline Bling. What is that?
That would be 800 NTS 2700.
And just for all the listeners out there, Brandon's been working for Anthony for 15 years and he did not know that phone number. So that was discussed prior to the show. So Brandon's going to give everyone his personal cell to reach out to him personally. Go ahead, B.
That's right. It's 727-504-8424.
We just want to thank Mr. Robert Palmer and LPT for making this show possible. We also want to thank Anthony Latham for flying in from Chicago to give you guys the raw and the real of business ownership, how he leveraged debt and real estate to start a nationally based company. I'm so excited to bring you more content in reference to being an entrepreneur, growing with a company, maybe a career change, and of course, how Sean Weatherington can help you with all your real estate needs. We're going to go ahead and pay some bills, and we will catch you after the break.
The best comp plans ever in stock and revenue share, but if we're not closing real estate transactions, all of that is worthless, because ultimately everything starts with a real estate transaction, which starts with a consumer. And so we wanted to arm our agents with the absolute best technology and best marketing tools to do more real estate. And that's, again, I think a big differentiator. I think very few brokerages really sit down and say, how do we provide tools to make sure that our agents can be more productive, sell more real estate, win more listings, win at more listing appointments, help more buyers find that home. And we're very focused on that. And so while we have the best comp plans and the best ways for agents to generate wealth and earn, we also have the best tools, and more importantly, I would say have the best tools to help you be successful in real estate.
Welcome back to the LPT All-Star Radio Show. I am your one and only host here in Tampa Bay, Betsy Tinervin with Tampa Bay Investments and LPT Realty. And if you missed out earlier, I am glad you are tuned in now, friends, because show is raw and real. We don't just cover real estate. We cover Tampa Bay. We cover business entrepreneurship. We talk about raw and real personal growth, self-growth. We bring people as catalysts and connectors in our community. And I'm honored to have Anthony Latham in the studio today, who is the owner of National Title Solutions, a nationally based title company. I don't even know any other title company, Ann, in Tampa can say they're nationally based. Does that exist?
That was one of the things when I opened mine. I wanted to cover, the whole country, because a lot of people were, I just cover this county or I just cover this state. So that was, yeah.
Is there one though, Brandon? There is any other?
There are a few.
Okay, there are a few. Okay.
Not that it's cover as many states as we do.
And is there anyone that has a custom sneaker collection like Anthony Latham has?
No. That's for sure.
Well, not in the title business.
Definitely not in the title business.
So anybody out there that doesn't follow the pattern of trend, which will expose Anthony right now, of wearing a amazing suit jacket with the best Air Force Ones possible in every color, that is Anthony. He is raw, he is real, he is honest. And so I want him to give you the raw and the real of how you started the company, Ant, because I think it just ties into like real estate as a whole.
Yeah, so we were working for that company Brandon and I was working for, and the company just didn't move in the way I felt they should, ethically, business-wise. So it was at around 2006. Oh, by the way, we're celebrating 15 years this year. We opened in 2007, so I'm very
I
proud
hope
of
I'm
that.
invited to the party.
Absolutely. So it was at the time when, right before the financial crisis of 2008, there was some equity in my house, and so I took a second loan, tapped a little bit of that equity, and I opened my doors in July of 2007. So,
and I believe that we have since sold that home.
Yeah, well, I had that home, I think, up until 2020. And finally, the market turned. I was able to walk away with some money, thanks to Betsy. I did a little kind of flip. I felt pretty cool. I painted it, got new carpet, and I got what I expected. So,
what did you net on that property, just from what you paid for it to what you sold it for?
Well, let's paint that picture. We had purchased it, moved in with about $80,000 in equity. After 2009, we were $100,000 underwater. We had a renter in it for about 10 years. I was coming out of pocket about $300-400, but in the end, we walked away with like $30,000. So that was nice.
And also, that particular property allowed you to open up your company and create wealth for your family.
That property paid itself back to me. I didn't mind I was underwater for 10 years because I was doing great things with that money I took out. So it didn't affect me, nor did it derail my vision, because that money was just repeating itself over and over and over again. And then the last 4 years, it did some really crazy things. So I'm happy.
But that story, just for anyone out there, is why I always say, and Sean, you love me, but I know I'm a broken record to you, because I say, like, real estate is the
sexiest asset.
Oh my God. See, he knows me so well. Say it, Sean.
Really
say it. You just spin the whole game. I'm not even going to ask you a question, dog. You just run it and rip it because you already know what I want you to talk about.
I mean, what Anthony was just talking about is exactly what Betsy talks about on the team. I've known her for years. Real estate is the sexiest asset out there. You can do so much with it. And what Anthony has done, is he basically took a second mortgage out on his house. He was able to take that capital and turn it into the best national title company out there. I mean, and I've worked with many a title company. I work with Brandon hands down, both on the buy side and the sell side. These guys are just amazing. But, that's one of the things that I love. I love taking care of individuals, buying and selling a house. Yeah, that's great. But what really sets me on fire is working with professional investors. And investors are people that buy and invest in real estate for profit and or cash flow and or both. To be able to work in that space and work in that niche with the people like Betsy and Brandon and Anthony is just amazing. So.
And also, I want to touch back on investments too, because I had an amazing call from a listener, and I hope that he is listening today and he knows who he is. But all they invest in is opportunity zones. And Sean, you know more than anyone that, like, over the last 10 years, we have not built enough homes in Tampa to suffice the supply and demand. And so this particular investor creates opportunities for people for housing in areas that are maybe underdeveloped or they're in a CRA district. And talk a little bit about that, providing housing when it comes to investments for other people, especially in a time like right now where people might not be able to afford to purchase.
Yeah, I mean, housing, something that is needed. I mean, the demand for housing is huge, and that's all across the spectrum, whether they're turnkey assets, and or distressed opportunity zones, and there's a market for every investor in each one of those niches, as long as you know what you're doing and you know how to navigate. I mean, the opportunity zone investments that you were referencing right there are very safe, very great investments, especially for entry level investors, because it's a very low cost of capital to enter. It's consistent revenue, and it's just a space where a lot of people live in, I mean, that's just the way that it is. And I don't see that as changing, because the demand for housing is just astonishingly high, and there's just not enough supply to meet it.
And in Tampa Bay right now, it doesn't really matter like what your interest rate is on a DSCR loan, like an asset-based purchase. Supply and demand speaks for itself. And we do not have enough housing here. And when you see the big guys like Blackstone buying up St. Pete, buying up neighborhoods, they're putting up 150 units at a time, man, for affordable housing. And affordable housing has changed as well as the economy. Like, they are putting people in affordable housing that are now going to be considered for affordable housing that may be medium income people so they can live. We're going to circle back with you, Sean, of just kind of like what makes you different. I'm going to head over to my guy, B. Wessner, because Brandon, you have owned your property in Tampa forever.
We have.
How long have you lived there?
Since 2009.
And I've tried to get you to sell it. Wait, how many times?
Probably about 10.
And you're standing strong. And so talk to them about, like, raw and real, like what you purchased it for and what it's really worth right now.
Purchased it for $260,000. And right now they are selling for about $440,000.
And what area are you live in? Like, give them.
West Chase. So
Okay.
we live over in West Chase.
Perfect. And I know that we hit a little bit on, and I want to dive deeper into you later in the show, just like kind of what it's like to work with people for as long as you have with Anthony. But I do want you to tell people the raw and real. Every title company says they're great. Everybody says they can produce. Why do you not over promise and under deliver, but how do you really deliver with your customers and agents?
Yeah, I think just by being real with them, being honest, being just a normal person, showing them that it's more than, a business relationship like you and I, we've become really close friends. And I think that that's where people gain trust in you, and we deliver on what we promise. We think outside the box. We don't handle titles like it's back in the 1990s. We adapt very well, and I think that that's kind of what separates us, and as with Anthony's leadership has really brought us to the next level, and why last year we became the #1 title company with our underwriter in the state of Florida.
And why do you also think this whole ecosystem with LPT is important, like these agents providing these tools?
Oh man, I mean, it gives them endless opportunity and gives them so much more time to actually go out and develop their business and build their pipeline, just as you teach all the time. I mean, they need to not focus on so much on the marketing and let LPT with the listing power tools do it for them and let them go out and gain business and build that pipeline to really make them more money.
And we actually have several lunch and learn classes that anyone can come to. Brandon, myself, and mortgage companies speak at those classes. Brandon, if any agent out there is just interested in attending a class that you do or that I do, no matter what brokerage they're with, could you give your phone number, please?
Yeah, it's 727-504-8424.
If anyone is interested in investing in real estate, buying or selling, you would do yourself a disservice to not contact Sean Weatherington. Sean, could you give people your phone number?
Yes, ma'am. 386-848-7241.
And my guy, Anthony Latham with National Title Solutions. If anyone is interested in maybe opening a title company, knowing more about your story, or potentially being a title rep in Florida, Chicago, all over the place, could you give NTS's number?
Yeah, it's 800 NTS 2700.
800 NTS 2700. I love that.
Might be 287.
You guys are not going to want to miss the content coming up. We're going to dive deep into how these guys, and they're not ready for this, have worked together this long, how Sean and I have worked together this long in actual circumstances that made all of our relationships tough, and how we persevered through that as business owners and people that have worked together, because I think that's the raw and the real of our industry, and why we have stuck together, continuing these partnerships, not short term, not hopping around, but long term. You will not want to miss this content, no matter what industry you are in. Again, disservice if you don't listen to us after the break. Please download the iHeartRadio app, pop in those earbuds, follow your favorite stations. We unfortunately have to pay some bills, but we are coming back with amazing content. We'll catch you after the break.
Biggest win, I think, with the dual path and having these two models is that now we become a brokerage for everyone. No matter where you are in your real estate career or what your goals are today, maybe today you're not interested in recruiting or having a team, but then one day you wake up and you are. Well, if you're at the wrong brokerage to do that, you're locked in. Where in our model, we're not holding anyone hostage. We're not tying anyone in. You can move between the different comp plans and have that success and really achieve whatever your definition of success is under one brokerage platform, being LPT.
Welcome back to the LPT All-Star Radio Show. This is Betsy Tinervin with the Tampa Bay Investments team. And as you all know, I don't just talk real estate and finance. I go dive deep to raw and real. And this was a perfect show for any business owners listening, for any potential employees listening, for any commission-based employees listening, because Sean Weatherington with the Tampa Bay Investments team, an LPT agent, Anthony Latham with the National Title Solutions, the president and owner of that company, as well as his regional manager, Brandon Wessner of National Title Solutions, are going to dig deep into being a business owner, working for a company, and we're going to get raw and real. So, Anthony.
Yes.
I call you probably twice a month, every other week.
Once a week.
Once a week? Okay, cool. And some of those calls are not about success, right? Be
No,
raw and
they're all
real
over.
how those conversations go.
They could be anything from our coworkers to industry trends to just how to deal. I think we've touched on everything.
But I think I have, I own my own business, and I think I've wanted to quit my own business 15 times.
Yes. I think I've called you. You're my counselor. I'll call you about something. And it's just good to have great people in your circle that you can count on and have those conversations with. Because if you don't have them, success could be difficult if you're not around the right people.
And I think that you and I's relationship has gone well beyond I'm an agent, you're a title rep. We dive deep with each other on checking each other on how we run our businesses. I want to tell everyone out there, I go to Anthony because Anthony is older than I am. He has more experience and wisdom than I am. So I ask him, hey, how did you get through this? What did you do with that? So Ant, give the listeners what you do as a business owner when the money is not coming in appropriately. You have difficult employees. You're in multiple cities running these companies, so you physically are not present. Give business owners some really good advice in reference to that, please.
Yeah, you have to continue to coach and pivot every day. You can't stop. Right now it's, everybody wants that rah-rah, that, get up and go, and you have to be that person. A lot of people want to just idly coast or stay, in the lane they're in. One thing as the owner, even when COVID hit up north in Chicago, it was like a major lockdown, and we didn't have time to hem and haw. So I think we literally came up with a game plan in about 30 minutes. We even trademarked curbside closings. Like, you have to be fast. You have to hit first. So as an owner, you just take what comes to you and navigate it as best you can. I have the luxury of being in this business 20 plus years and seeing all these ups and downs. A lot of people right now are like, how are you so calm? And it's not that I'm calm, but it's that I'm continuously challenging my team. I'm forcing them to do things I don't even think they can do. And I think that's pretty awesome in the end of the day, is taking someone who, can't get in front of a microphone at a radio show or present in front of a room of 50 agents and be able to do that when they're able to do that. And I had a hand in that because they have to do it, right? I'm just kind of pushing them to do it. That's what you have to do as an owner. And
you have had Brandon working for you for how long?
I can't even tell. A long time. I mean, 2005, I think we started, maybe even earlier.
Brandon, how long has it been?
Yeah, so at the old company it was 2005, and then I was the very first employee with national title.
Employee 001.
Oh, I love that. Sean, that's going on LPT, right? I'm Agent 55. Brandon is Uno. So I have watched you two grow, and it has been so cool to be a part of that relationship. And Brandon, you also are somebody that I turn to when I teach a class and I feel like the agents aren't receptive, and I'm like, B, I just quit. Like, this is like ridiculous, And I also have rode through tough times with you with NTS, where it's like, hey man, like, here's where I'm at in my career. Do I stay? Do I go? What do I do? I want to grow, blah, blah, blah. Talk about how it's hard being in a manager position, but why you have chosen to stick this out and how it's affected you personally and professionally.
Yeah. So, in our industry, you got a lot of people that tend to move around a lot. They tend to follow the money instead of look at the big picture and really see someone's vision.
I love that.
Really see where someone's going. When Anthony saw basically faith in me and asked me to come over, it was a big step. I was young, but, I owe him a ton. He's got me up speaking in front of, presidents of large banks. We're doing radio shows. We're doing lunch and learns all on my own. 6 years ago, I used to call him and be like, Anthony, I need you to fly down. I got an event. I need you to speak in front of these people. I cannot do this. And
that got old real quick.
Yeah, that obviously got old, trying to fly down. But I was always an inside guy. That's how I started my career, was on the inside, and he developed me into the manager I am today. And, seeing his vision and seeing how he runs a company, I always treat the company like it's my own. I feel that, he's had the faith in me to do this, and I need to make him happy, and I'm not going anywhere. These people that switch title companies, it's tough. When you have clients and they're constantly working with new people, that's not a good relationship. That's why I think you, myself, and Sean, we have such a good relationship. We've been working so long, and you're always working with the same group of people. You get to know what they like, how they like it done, and the communication between everyone is just so much easier that way. And I feel like that's why it's super important to find a company that you trust and you believe you can grow in.
But what about when it's really hard? What about when Anthony is like at your wits' end? Like, why do you stay and keep going and growing?
His vision. I mean, he also, our company, no longer do I call it a mom and pop shop, because we're not. I mean, we're national. We're bigger than most title companies here in the area, and we're still family. I mean, he treats me like I'm his little brother. We always talk about it all the time. Anthony and I talk probably every day, and I would say we talk about work maybe 5 times a month.
Okay, I guess that was a good answer there. Now let's go to Sean. Sean and I have been writing hard forever, and I want to talk about this, Sean, and we may not get fully through it in this segment, but we'll try. Sean actually recruited me. Like, Sean recruited me to EXP, and then came to me kind of outside what everyone's beliefs were and said, hey man, I want to join your team. And I've watched Sean like grow as a leader. He mentors other agents. His investment analysis skills are just phenomenal. So Sean, talk about like what you and I have been through.
Oh gosh, where do we start? You know, in my career, I've always been a leader. I've always been the alpha in whatever field that I was in. And when I met you, I quickly realized that I wasn't the alpha anymore.
Really, Anthony, Brandon? Like, really?
You know, our first conversation about what I was doing in real estate was very humbling. And, but it was very needed. You know, and it takes somebody with strength to be able to talk to somebody else with strength. I firmly believe that. And everything that Anthony and Brandon were talking about, I'm just nodding my head up and down going, yes, you know, we're coaches, you know, we're constantly coaching and teaching and motivating people to be successful in their field. And I came to Betsy because I realized she had it going on. She had a tremendous amount of knowledge. She had a passion for teaching, you know, and she practiced what she preached. And I needed that to be successful in this field. As you know, I was in hospitality for 25 plus years. I was transitioning, and my work ethic is I want to be the best. I don't want to be second best, third, whatever. I want to be the best. And you have to align yourself with great people if you have wants and desires like that.
And Sean, you gave me advice too. You're one of the people I call when I'm just in an irate state. And I just want you to share a long time ago when we were with EXP, you gave me some really good advice. Can you share that with the listeners?
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of frustrating things going on in both of our real estate careers back then between, you know, things going on with the company, things going on with the team, things going on with the marketplace, you know, and you were really, really frustrated, throwing your hands up. And I'm sure you've talked to both the guys here about that before. And I told you, I was like, Betsy, you've got to get back to the basics. You got to get back to the things that make you happy. You know, let go of the things that doesn't make you happy and focus on those. You know, and one of the things was getting back into the investment space and actually getting your hands dirty, you know, like when you and I first met before we actually joined EXP in the investment space. You know, and you took my advice for some reason. I'm blown away.
I cannot thank all three of you enough, because the three of you together today on this show, and this is what I love the most about this show, is bringing people together and watching them grow and tell those stories, and watching Anthony listen to Brandon speak. Like, you guys don't get to see that, but I do, and vice versa. And Sean saying the same thing Brandon said of just kind of writing with my vision. This show has been amazing. We have so much more content to give. You're not going to want to leave us. Sean, give people your phone number if they'd like to contact you, please.
386-848-7241.
Anthony Latham, what are those NTS digits?
800 NTS 2700, 800 NTS 2700.
And Brandon, give them your phone number, bud.
It's 727-504-8424.
And if anyone wants to see Anthony Latham's sneaker connection, you can find him on Facebook at Anthony Latham, is Latham, correct? Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, the sneaker collection. Don't want to miss the content coming up. We're going to wrap this up of what makes these people experts in what they do and how they've gotten to that place in their career. Raw and real, not only real estate, but business and what's happening in Tampa Bay. We're going to go ahead and pay some bills, and we'll catch you after the break. Welcome back to the LPT All-Star Radio Show. I have had goosebumps this entire show. James does his due diligence as our lovely producer and turns on the AC, but sometimes I get frozen. But we are so blessed to be living in Florida in the Sunshine State, so we definitely can't complain about a couple cold moments in our AC. However, I have had three amazing guys on this show who have all been mentors, friends, and people that I've worked in this profession really since I've been here since 2015. If you are just now tuning in, I have Sean Wetherington, who is an LPT agent. He is a team leader in so many aspects in our industry and just a phenomenal realtor. I have Anthony Latham, the president of National Title Solutions, a national-based title company that has 2 hubs in Chicago and Florida, but does transactions all over the country. And Brandon Wessner is their regional manager, who I've worked with for now, 20 2022, so 8 years. And the last thing I want to leave our listeners with today is just really what sets us apart in the industry. And I try to keep this show clean, but everybody gives you the same BS. I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best. But proof is in the pudding, right? And leave your money where your mouth is, be raw and real. And I think that's something that people kind of respect, Sean, and you touched on that, and you're on my direct team and you know what it's like to work with me. Why do we not overpromise and underdeliver? And how can you tell the listeners via just listening, not even being face-to-face with body language, how you do that in the real estate industry?
Well, I mean, it's very important that you're transparent and you're open and honest with your clients. I mean, you don't want to sell them something that's just not going to happen, whether it be a dream, whether it be a house, whether it be an investment. That's just not the right thing to do in this business. You know, nobody wants to go through the drive-through and then drive away and get the wrong order. You know, that's just not what this is all about. So, I mean, on our team, you know, we're basically a one-stop shop when it comes to providing the best of the best. We have the best title company. We have the best loan officers that work with us. You know, we've got, you know, Kristen Martinez, one of the best real estate attorneys in Tampa, you know, as well as a support team and a support team of agents that believe that our customers and our guests come first.
Brandon, you, me, and Kristen have worked together the entire time.
We have.
So we are not flip-floppers, right, Brandon?
We are not flip-floppers, no.
We have some flip-flopper, you know, title people out there. No disrespect to them. I mean, that's okay. You couldn't make it. You know, sometimes you got to be a sixth man. That's fine. But Brandon, you have been a starter.
I've been a starter.
Anthony
for a
has
long
given
time.
you this position as a starter, and I mean, you know, God has been with you for sure. Because I'm sure there's times that you crossed a fine line, and Anthony, you know, really wanted to take those infamous sneakers and come down to Florida, but you have proven that you have made it through the ropes. And you have stuck with the same company, providing the same products. And thanks to Jen Esparza, I'm going to steal her words, you're not a jack of all trades. You've been a master of one with one company.
Absolutely.
Why do you set the bar high and actually deliver exactly what you say you're going to deliver to all your customers and all the agents you work with?
I just feel like Sean said, being transparent, making sure that your customers are happy, making sure that you're building relationships and constantly growing your company. I mean, you switching companies constantly, you're not going to build. You know, you may make more money here and there, but in the long run, you know, I want to build wealth for my family. You know, I want to have, so everybody is taken care of. And I just feel it's super important to make sure that all your customers are constantly taken care of, whether they send one order or whether they send 50 orders. You know, I like to treat them all like family.
Why is it important for an agent listening to have a title rep that they can trust?
Oh gosh, a lot can happen. You know, it's their biggest purchase of their life. You know, title insurance, we're going to insure that home. You want to make sure that that title company is doing their job. I mean, you and I have had a couple instances where
I was just going to bring this up and you beat me to it.
Yeah, we've had a couple instances where, you know, the title company decided to charge you fees that the seller was supposed to be charged, as well as they charged you full-blown lender's policy when they should have gave a simultaneous rate. I mean, that's hundreds of dollars that we saved you at the closing table because you knew someone that was willing to look after you. We do that with every client. We're going to look after the buyer and seller. We're going to make sure that everyone is charged correctly according to what the contract is. And it's very important because there are a lot of title companies out there, unfortunately, that don't have the experience like we do and don't treat our customers the way that we do.
But you also have checked me as an agent, though, B.
Absolutely.
You and I, even though we've worked together, and I will be totally transparent on the radio, and this should make, you know, Daddy Anthony really happy. Because basically, as an agent, Brandon represents the buyer and the seller. He does not represent us as agents. And Brandon has called me about myself and other agents saying, Betsy, that's a no-no. You can't do that. This is how this process has to go because it's legally appropriate. So digging a little bit more kind of deep into that, I want to turn to you, Anthony, as a business owner. Yeah. Why it's important that you have a level of expectations for the people that work for your company. Yep. Why you choose quality over quantity, and what NTS really provides to its customers that sets you apart from everyone else.
Yeah, most important is the culture. I created a culture built around service. I think we have a saying, exceptional service is standard. We believe in that. I believe in that. I have a rule in my office. Emails must be replied within 30 minutes. The phone can't ring more than twice. And I just drill that in their heads because to me, I think a lot of companies out there take advantage of the relationships, or they're just simply not experts in their field. And that's one of the things I offer. I offer making you an expert and an opportunity. The rest is entirely up to you. I'm going to give you the best platform to succeed on. I'm going to make your compensation, the sky's the limit. I always say, I'm going to build the stage, I'm going to bring the crowd, but you're going to play the instruments. And
well, why is it important to you, though, that people like Brandon are successful?
Well, because it's obvious. I want to give him all the tools possible to be the best title rep or regional manager possible. We're always educating. We're always moving the bar. We're always looking outside and saying, okay, how can we make this process better or ourselves better? I mean, he'll tell you just last week, we're going to do this sales, training, whatnot. It's just, you always have to learn something. You got to be willing to learn something new.
Well, and I'm going to put it out there that National Title Solution has the lowest title closing cost that I've ever seen. So if somebody wants to text me, I'll give you my number, 813-609-0229, and text me a copy of an ALTA or settlement statement that has a cheaper title cost. Their title cost is $250. And they also do a free mobile notary. So if you're closing a transaction, relocating to Florida, it's super important for us agents to have that. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go to our final thoughts, which I'm so disappointed in because I could speak to these three guys forever. Sean, final thoughts and your phone number, please.
My number is 386-848-7241. My final thoughts are I feel honored and privileged to be able to sit here and talk with you guys. I mean, I love each and every one of you and I enjoy working with you, and I'm excited about what we've got going on. I mean, the world of real estate right now is an exciting place. I know some people are scared, but in every adversity in lies an opportunity. You just have to surround yourself with great people. Sometimes you have to take some certain risks, but it's endless possibility, and I love where we're at.
Brandon Wessner, what's those digits, and give me your final thoughts.
727-504-8424. Final thoughts, the relationship that we've built. I appreciate everything that you guys have done, obviously trusting us with your title work, with all of your investors, choosing us on the buy side. Not a lot of people do that, and that's something that I'd love to talk to people one-on-one if they give me a call, learn how they can help save their customers some money on the buy side and have control of title.
My boy Ant, save the best for last, kid. He's just the oldest in the room, so we have to give him time to process.
I'll give you the digits, 800 NTS 2700. My final thought is everybody's keep educating yourself, separate yourself from everybody else. That's the key in this industry, is to be able to provide something better than the man or woman next to you.
I have loved this conversation. This show has been super easy for me because you guys have such great things to say. A couple things we want to wrap up with is we are having the Invest Tour, and you will get to see Sean and Brandon, who will both have booths January 14th. It's amazing. Tickets are now on sale. Early bird tickets, a full day of real estate with all the resources possible. Some really great stories of people have overcome triumph in their life and now invest in real estate and have passive income for their family. Please text me if you're interested in getting a ticket. It is 813-609-0229. You can text me, Brandon or Sean, about all of the local free trainings we're doing for agents in our community. We are doing weekly lunch and learns. You do not have to be with LPT. We have opened this up to every agent in Tampa Bay. We love to teach and train. I want to give my final thought, which is how much respect I have for the three guys that are sitting here, Sean, Anthony, and Brandon, how every one of them takes my calls. Being a female in this industry, it's very difficult. You're looked at sometimes as a sex symbol and not as the same. And these three guys have always respected me, just given me love and care to just push through as a team lead. And I can't thank you guys enough. And so if you are interested in more information from today's show, please contact one of our great guests. Again, unfortunately, we have to wrap it up, but we love all of our listeners, and we will catch you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Raw and Real of Real Estate podcast, powered by LPT Realty, Real Estate Reimagined. We hope this episode motivated and inspired you. And don't forget to rate and review us. Thanks again for listening to the Raw and Real of Real Estate podcast with Betsy Tinervin.